US markets have slumped overnight as investors sell off shares ahead of the US Federal Reserve's board meeting on Thursday. Joining me now is our business reporter, Edward Boyd. Ed, US stocks fell, cryptocurrencies slipped as well. The concern is the Fed will wind back its economic stimulus.
Well, global investors are expecting that to happen this week, Laura. So the US Federal Reserve meeting, it starts tonight and it actually goes for 2 days. It'll be finished up on Thursday morning, Australia time. That's when the chair, Jerome Powell, will host his press conference. And he's expected to announce that they're winding back economic stimulus for the US economy. And what that's done this week for investors is they've been selling off shares because they're concerned that these economic stimulus have been propping up companies. So they're selling out now ahead of this announcement. So US stocks overnight fell. The Dow Jones was down about 1%. But also cryptocurrency. I think a lot of people that have cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, have been selling off their crypto overnight. So Bitcoin slumped about 7% overnight. We've got a little chart here we can show you of the last month of trading for Bitcoin, and it's slumped 25% over the last 30 days. But since its record high in early November, it's fallen about 30%. So the price of Bitcoin currently is around 47,000 US dollars. So still much higher than it was roughly a year ago, but it has come back significantly. So expect to watch that be quite volatile as well over the next few days. Our stock market today, it's going to fall as well. We're expecting it to open about 0.6% lower.
Okay, so the RBA will react to whatever the Federal Reserve does. We're talking about huge amounts of stimulus in the US, trillions upon trillions of dollars. Australia is in a slightly different situation. So how is it likely to affect us or the thinking of the RBA?
Well, if Jerome Powell from the US Federal Reserve does announce a wind back in stimulus measures, because they've got a big inflation problem in America. Their inflation is at its highest level since 1982. Inflation in the States is almost at 7%. In Australia, our head of the Reserve Bank, Philip Lowe, says inflation is transitory and it's at 3%. So it's under half the amount in the United States, but 3% is still pretty high. So expect, actually, we're going to hear from Philip Lowe on Thursday. He's giving his last speech of the year at a Wagga Wagga Business Summit. So he may actually have some time to give a bit of feedback on what the US Federal Reserve movements have been on the day. But if not, we'll hear from him in February at their first board meeting of the year. And if the Federal Reserve winds back stimulus, expect the Reserve Bank to provide some commentary in its Tuesday board meeting in February, talking about interest rates, talking about what they're planning to do in 2022 for the Australian economy and whether they think they need to wind back their stimulus, because they're still buying $4 billion in government bonds a week until at least mid-February. But we could get an update in the first week of February on what their plans are for the year.
Right, clear, got it. Let's talk Afterpay. Afterpay shareholders are set to vote today on whether the company should merge with payments giant Square. I thought this was a done deal, or is this the final hurdle?
This is one of the final hurdles. There needs to be a couple of shareholder votes. Afterpay shareholders, the meeting has just kicked off about 10 minutes ago, and they've already received 200 million proxy votes. 99.97% or something voted yes for this deal. So I imagine it's going to be pretty much a done deal. The interesting thing, though, is Afterpay shareholders will receive 0.375 shares in Square for each share in Afterpay. And that values their Afterpay shares at 94 Australian dollars. However, if you go back to August 2, when this deal was initially announced, Square's share price was substantially higher, and it valued Afterpay shares at about 140 Australian dollars. So that has really reduced the value of this deal for Afterpay shareholders. So some of them may have a bit of hesitancy voting yes, but looking at the proxies already, it looks like it's definitely going to go ahead and the merge will happen in the first quarter of next year.